Welcome to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. This is a show where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're live on Facebook. You can catch us live just about every Tuesday at 1 p.m. You can also watch us in social media, the rebroadcast of our shows in social media. Look for us as Houston Community College District. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel, and you can also download the audio versions of our podcast. That's right. All shows are available as podcasts at hccs.edu/podcast. Today's Houston community and its student body is more diverse than ever. Today on The Topic, we'll examine how Houston Community College is nurturing leaders to bring a wide range of insights to the college. First off, we're joined by Dr. Shantay Grays, our Vice Chancellor for Student Services. Welcome to the show, Dr. Grays.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I want to congratulate you first off. You've recently been named an Aspen Institute Rising President Fellow. Tell us a little bit about this program and how you were selected for that achievement.
Well, thank you for your congratulatory remarks. I am indeed thrilled and honored to be selected among the 32 participants in this upcoming cohort. Aspen, as you may well know, is one of the esteemed organizations that's focused on improving student success outcomes, setting the bar very high for high-achieving organizations who are intentionally focused on this work. And part of the Rising Presidents Fellowship Program is really focusing on convening rising stars, aspiring leaders who are engaged in more thoughtful work around innovation and preparation for the next role of the community college presidency. So indeed, it's an honor for me, and I'm very excited about what's to come in the next year.
How often will the cohort be meeting? Are these virtual meetings? Will you have retreats or a little bit of everything?
It's a combination of both. We will have several in-person convenings. We have the great opportunity to travel across the country on 3 instances where we have face-to-face meetings. But for the most part, this is a working project. We have capstone courses focused very intently on data and understanding our student population, how we use those data to make informed decisions around budget, around strategic planning and visioning. So it's a much more in-depth dive from a community college president's perspective on how to use those data to really impact the organization and the organization's future.
You mentioned there were 32 members in the cohort. Have you had a chance to meet the other members? Where do they come from?
Well, I've not had an opportunity to meet them personally. In fact, our first orientation is tomorrow, so I will have the great fortune to meet my peers. But I do know that they represent the entire United States. There are individuals from the East Coast, from Baltimore area, as well as California, as far north as I understand, Minnesota, Texas, obviously Florida, and so on and so forth. So very much looking forward to engaging and making new friends who are also dedicated to this work.
Now, we know that COVID and a generational change is opening college presidential positions, and that may give higher ed an opportunity for more diversity in college leadership. Why do you think this is so important, especially at a college like Houston Community College?
You know, and that's a really insightful question, Todd. I was reflecting the other day about this opportunity and thought, historically, community colleges, as for most higher ed institutions, had a very different type of representation. Many females early on were not included in leadership, nor were there very many people of color. But to also now have this opportunity presented to be a woman of color as well, I think it's just a tremendous opportunity. When I think about the reflection of the diversity in Houston, and not only Houston, but our student population, it really does lend itself well to think, here I am, someone who could inspire others who may have a goal or who may not have seen themselves in a position to do this kind of work. So certainly it's an opportunity for me to help be an advocate for those who are aspiring to leadership, but also to help represent the voice of the people who have been historically marginalized or underserved, and how that leads specifically to policy change, to impact change at an organizational and strategic level for community colleges.
You mentioned some important things just a brief moment ago, but besides providing that voice for those who are underserved and representing those, what are some other things that you're hoping to learn during your time in this program?
You know, the really unique part about this fellowship is that we are paired with a mentor, someone who's been doing this work for I would say a lifetime, a legacy of academicians and scholars and leaders who really made a significant impact on the community college. But I will say, I challenged as we were being paired with our potential mentors, I challenged the process, and I was really intently focused on finding a leader who would now understand or who have led in a post-COVID environment.
Yeah.
Particularly because we know that the way that we've learned, the way that we've led an organization is not the way that we will do that in the future. We've got to anticipate tomorrow's student. So having someone who's had that level of experience working closely with the board or even at a policy level on a national stage will really lend itself well to me because I know that those, as a future president, those types of decisions are going to impact the student body and the student population. So having some opportunity to engage with someone who's been through that process, who's really thought about how this paradigm shift is going to impact the organization of community colleges long term, I think is going to be very valuable for me.
You know, we've come a long way. Just really, if you think about the last 5 years at HCC, you got Hurricane Harvey, a pandemic, enrollment challenges, online learning, and now we're kind of emerging from this all. But if you look through it, we made it through it with HCC, and there are a lot of successes, a lot of things you can look back at over the last 5-10 years at HCC. How do you get those together? And if you could pick a few of them, what would you be telling your cohorts, your colleagues in the cohort about?
My gosh, Todd, I mean, you talk about a perfect example. I mean, I think we are the model institution, even though we may not want that title, we would be the model institution on how to manage crises. To your point earlier, we've had the ice storm, we've had Hurricane Harvey, COVID, and we've done it so many times. But I think what we've done well is how we've organized ourselves as an organization, how we've collectively engaged stakeholders to understand the why, and then we move very quickly and swiftly to action. I think that even for aspiring leaders, it's being able to manage crises, understanding that you've got a plan for the unexpected. And I think that's the remarkable instance that I bring in terms of providing value to my colleagues who will be in the cohort. This is not an easy job. And, to wake up one day and then your world be completely turned upside down, You still have to keep a cool head in leadership. And I think HCC has well prepared me to do that. Having served, this college for 24 years, I've seen a number of significant events that have impacted the way we operate. And I think that expertise and that background will certainly be value add for others.
24 years is a long time, but it's also, you gained a lot of experience in those 24 years, a lot you can talk about.
I think so. I've learned from some great leaders. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my mentors, people like Dr. Norma Perez, who you have also coming up on the show, who pushed me to pursue my doctorate, offered to edit my dissertation at instances. So I'm thankful for all of the friendships and the leadership I've made. I mean, the leadership connections I've been able to establish while being here at HCC.
Dr. Shantay Graves, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon on the topic. We look forward to seeing you again in the future, and congratulations once again. Good luck with the program you're going through.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a short break. As we just alluded to, we're going to have Dr. Norma Perez joining us, talking about how diversity is expressed in our instructional leadership. Stay tuned. The topic returns in 60 seconds.
Sometimes what you need just shows up. Houston Community College has your back. Whether you're knocking out some basics or upping your game for a better job, enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
For more than a year, we have kept you informed with more than 500 remote episodes. But now we're back, bigger and better with more news and more guests. Join us live every weekday at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and on HCC TV at noon and 5 p.m. You can watch from anywhere. We go where you go.
Welcome back to The Topic. We're live this Tuesday afternoon, as we are most Tuesday afternoons. Catch us live on Facebook. You can also watch us on HCC TV and look for us in social media. Find The Topic under Houston Community College District. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can download audio podcasts of all of our shows at hccs.edu/podcast. We're talking this afternoon about diversity and leadership here at HCC, and we're joined now by Dr. Norma Perez, Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Perez, welcome this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to go back to a very basic question. We touched on this with Dr. Graves as well, but we're going to ask it to you. Why is having diversity and leadership so important in your eyes here at HCC?
Well, Todd, as you know, Houston Community College has a very diverse student population. And I think research has shown that when you have a diverse student population and you have individuals, whether it's leaders, whether it's faculty, whether it's advisors, with which students can identify, the success and the fact that they remain at HCC is much higher. And so I think that's why it's important that we have those role models for our students as they come to HCC.
Do you think that also plays into the factor that we have such a large international student population here at HCC because we're so welcoming?
I believe that is one of the factors. Again, students are looking for places where they feel welcome, where they have that sense of belonging, where they know that the idea is that the number one priority is student success, which, is one of our number one strategic initiatives. And So I think that in itself, when you look at our website, you look at the students who we tend to showcase, we show a diverse student population. And I think that people want that. They want to know that they're going to be well received, they're going to be welcome, and more importantly, we're going to care about them.
Right. Let's talk a bit about your path to where you are now. Tell us a little bit about how you came to your present position at HCC and some of the people and programs that helped contribute to your success as a leader.
Well, Todd, let me say that I was recommended by my supervisor, which was Dr. Beatty at the time, when she was getting ready to leave Houston Community College. She actually recommended me to the Chancellor, that of all her direct reports that she had, she highly recommended myself. And so that's how I started in the role. Prior to Dr. Beatty, as you are aware, I've been at HCC for almost 39 years now.
Right.
And so I've had various leaders within HCC that have helped me in terms of developing my leadership skills. One of my first supervisors was Caucasian, Ms. Catherine Tyra. And, she was a rather stern leader, but someone that I learned a great number of things from. It was under her leadership that we talked about my pursuing my doctorate. And so that's when I started pursuing that. In fact, she even gave me her textbooks because she quit attending the doctoral program at U of H, and she thought that I may benefit from them. Unfortunately, they were somewhat the books are rather old, but they did at least serve to some aspect to help me begin to look at what were some of the aspects I might be interested in as I pursued my doctorate degree. I also did participate in some of the women leadership programs throughout my career here at HCC, as well as the programs that HCC had. I think the one program that really got me started was the minority leadership program that was started by Texas A&M. And it was a grant that was given to that institution, the College of Education at A&M, that identified several of us. I was one of several minorities chosen from Houston Community College to participate in that program. It was that program that had me apply to Texas A&M and transfer my coursework from U of H over to Texas A&M, to where I completed my doctorate. So in that program, I learned a lot in terms of the aspects of leadership. I had the practical aspect because I've been leading. I have been a leader. I've been a manager and administrator at HCC from the very beginning of my career here, but I didn't really know the didactic part behind it, and I think that's helped me become a better leader, as well as the experiences that I gained in each of the positions I had here at HCC.
You talked about getting your doctorate at Texas A&M. I would imagine this is probably before we had online classes. Was it something where you had to drive up there a few times a week from the Houston area, along with working a full-time job here at HCC?
Yes, it was. But I had a very good supervisor at the time that really worked with my schedule to allow me to take those. I believe it was 2 days a week that I had to drive to A&M. However, I was also very fortunate that I had two colleagues that had also entered the doctoral program at A&M, who were part of the minority leadership program. So we took turns driving to A&M, and we met up somewhere off of 290. But again, they eventually changed their major, and I was the only one having classes at A&M, because I believe by them changing their majors, they were able to take their classes in the Houston area. So I did it on my own, but I did it because I really wanted that. I knew that doctorate was going to help me get to where I wanted to be. Plus, I'll tell you that one of our chancellors challenged me. She actually even said to me, "I will never be dean if I don't have a doctorate." And so, of course, she was the chancellor at the time. So I took that seriously, and I really buckled down and completed that doctorate.
How long did it take you to do that? How many years were you driving back and forth like that?
Well, I think for the coursework, I think I did that probably in about 3, maybe 4 years.
Wow.
Because we did it on a part-time basis. So I think it took me about 4 years. And then it took me a little bit longer to complete the dissertation, only because my mother took ill and I had to stop to take care of her several times. But again, I was very fortunate to have a great chair that helped me through that process and had the patience to work with my committee when those situations developed. So, however, I'm very happy of that one accomplishment.
If you could give some advice to some people here at HCC who may be aspiring leaders, ones that want to take on a leadership role here at HCC, what advice would you give them?
I think the very first one is to give your best at whatever it is that you're doing right now. Give your best, because people notice that. Even though they may not say anything to you, they're going to notice that you're giving 100%, if not more, to what you're doing, and that you're doing the best possible job that you can do. In addition to that, you need to find a mentor, someone that you can talk to in terms of what are some of your concerns, what's happening, someone that can advise you in terms of what kinds of things you need to do. As Dr. Grace mentioned, I advised her about her doctorate because I had been advised the same thing. If you're going to stay at HCC, you've got to have a doctorate. You're going to stay in higher ed, for example. And so I would advise them to do that. Get a mentor. If you don't already have a doctorate and you want to stay in higher ed, pursue that. And then you also, I recommend that they volunteer. That they volunteer in committees here at HCC so that people get to know who you are and what your strengths are, what your abilities are. So again, it gives you an opportunity to showcase yourself. And then last but not least, I would highly recommend that you let people know that you want upward mobility, so that they are aware and they can open those opportunities, especially if you selected a mentor or even your supervisor, to make them aware that you really want to be able to move up. What do I need to do? And have those serious conversations with your supervisor.
Dr. Norma Perez, we appreciate you joining us. Those are some great tips for everyone. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Todd. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to take another short break. When we return, we'll learn about HCC's Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Our DEI officer is coming up next. The topic returns in 60 seconds.
Sometimes what you need just shows up. Houston Community College has your back, whether you're knocking out some basics or upping your game for a better job. Enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We're talking about diversity in leadership here at HCC, and we're now joined by Dr. Donna Davis, HCC's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. Dr. Davis, welcome this afternoon.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon.
I know you've been with HCC a couple of years now, but just give us a brief overview, if you would, about your department and what exactly you do for the college.
Absolutely. As the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, I am charged with system protocols around DEI for the entire system with each stakeholder group, whether that's students, staff, or faculty. I'm also charged not only with that from the perspective of stakeholder groups, I also work closely with our Office of Institutional Equity, as well as talent engagement, faculty senate, student success. So we're looking at the holistic approach of DEI for the college.
And I've asked the other two participants the same question. I'm going to ask you as well. Why is it so important? Why is diversity and leadership so important to institutions of higher education like HCC?
Absolutely. Well, as you know, we're a very large community college system, one of the largest in the country. And as an institution of higher education, our students are interested in matriculating along with colleagues in our ranks, faculty and staff, who represent a variety of different values, perspectives, backgrounds, experiences. So as we are instructing our students and preparing them for their professional careers, then this is the first step for them to have that opportunity at engagement with diversity, and particularly diversity in leadership as they aspire to become leaders.
If you're looking at things for an organization, is there a specific area or areas that diversity should be prominent in an organization or department or unit, or is it really a broad band across the whole company?
It should be holistic. It should be the entire organization. That is a pitfall for organizations who don't do well in diversity and leadership when they only look at one specific area. We want individuals to look at every area of the organization, whether that's through hiring, whether that's committees with our students, retention, committees. All of those things are very important because we are promoting perspective of thought. This is thought leadership, and we should think of it from that frame.
Is diversity enough alone to achieve a sense of belonging that we desire?
No, diversity is the first step. And I share that with people all the time. Diversity certainly is important. We're a very diverse institution, but our strategic goal falls flat if we're only looking at diversity. So how are we including individuals? How are we creating that authentic space for individuals to represent themselves transparently within the HCC community? So it's important to also have inclusivity and that sense of belonging. That's how we get there, when we're able to welcome all various types of diversity and be inclusive.
What is intentional inclusivity?
Intentional is when we look at each unit, for instance, each college, where are the areas that we may have challenges regarding inclusivity, and ensuring that we're targeting and hearing from individuals within those particular groups, regardless of what social identity they may identify with, that we actually target and ensure that that individual group is being included in the full process. So intentional inclusivity is simply targeting the areas that we may be more challenged in, ensuring that that challenge is diminished and becomes a strength for the organization.
Well, let's look at Houston Community College. Are there areas that we would need more intentional inclusivity in your eyes? What are some of the things we're doing good and some of the things we can get better at?
We're a very large institution that sometimes can appear siloed. And I think that's one of the areas that we can really work on. That's not a pitfall. It's just something that goes back to that intentional inclusivity. And particularly as we come out of the pandemic, when we're thinking about individuals who've been remote for a very long time, being intentional in having meetings. I share with people, whether that is a virtual coffee, a virtual lunch, if you aren't able to meet with someone in person, that's fine, but really putting forth the effort to ensure that everyone on your team or everyone in your class, everyone in your department is truly being heard and included in the process.
I know we've got a couple of minutes left, but I want to talk with you about the Women of Excellence Diversity Award nomination that you recently had. Maybe you can tell us about this. And I know you've gotten us involved with this organization here at HCC. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. The Federation of Houston Professional Women is the organization here in the Houston metro area. And we were very excited to be nominated for the Diversity and Excellence Award. And the gala occurred this past Saturday, and we actually won. So wow. I'm very excited.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And have been sharing that. It's a win for the entire college. And they certainly are acknowledging our commitment to diversity and also the work that we've done over the past year in the DEI space. So very excited about having that award.
That's a great award. So you got the news here, folks. We got to get you back on to the Minute in the morning so we can talk more about that award.
Absolutely.
Dr. Donna Davis, we've got a minute left. You also have a podcast series that you do. You want to plug your next one?
Yes, thank you, Todd. I have a DEI virtual podcast occurring the first Thursday of every month at 11:30 a.m. on HCC TV. We have a variety of special guests that come in that I interview and really have a discussion with on a variety of DEI topics. So please join us.
Right. We'll have more information on our morning show, and you can catch it in our social media. So, Dr. Davis, thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you in the future.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And thank you all for joining us here on the topic. For more information, you can download our audio podcast, find us in social media, go to Houston Community College District, download the podcast at hccs.edu/podcast. I'll see you next week. I'm Todd Duplantis. Have a great week.
La forma en la que ves tus opciones puede cambiar en un minuto. Houston Community College te ayuda a encontrar tu camino con más de 200 programas que te abren oportunidades a puestos de trabajo. Inscríbete hoy para las clases de primavera y enfoca tu futuro con HCC.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
That that one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much like that helped me. I finally like knew that I had somebody